Dr. Heijin Lee stood in the rain, looking up at the strange hill called Glastonbury Tor. The old tower on top of the hill was dark against the gray sky. Rain fell softly on her umbrella as she checked her equipment one more time. Something deep under this hill was giving off unusual energy readings, and she was going to find out what it was. "Are you sure about this?" asked her assistant, holding a large metal detector. "The locals say this place is magical. They think we shouldn't dig here." Heijin smiled and adjusted her rain jacket. "That's exactly why we should dig here, Taeyang. Old stories often have some truth in them, and our reading shows something is definitely down there." They had been working at Glastonbury for 3 months now. At first, it seemed like a normal dig site, but then their instruments started picking up strange energy patterns from deep underground. These patterns got stronger every time it rained, which made no sense to Heijin. Normal archaeological finds don't react to weather. The two scientists carefully made their way up the wet hill. Their boots left marks in the soft grass. Other team members were already setting up equipment at the dig site. Large white tents protected the area from the rain. Dr. Lee called out one of the junior researchers. "You need to see this right away." Heijin walked faster, curious about what they had found. Inside the main tent, several screens showed data from their underground scans, but something was different today. The usual pattern had changed. "The energy readings are much stronger this morning," explained the researcher. "And look at this." He pointed to a circular shape on one of the screens. "We think it's some kind of room or chamber." Heijin leaned closer to the screen. The shape was too perfect to be natural. Someone had built this chamber long ago. But who? And why? The history books said nothing about underground rooms beneath Glastonbury Tor. "Let's dig here," she said, marking the spot on their map. Carefully. The team worked slowly through the morning. They removed dirt layer by layer, following proper archaeological methods. By afternoon, they had found something strange. It wasn't the old pottery or coins they usually found at historical sites. Instead, they uncovered a smooth, dark surface that looked like metal. "This isn't medieval," Heijin said, touching the surface. "This isn't even ancient British. This is something else entirely." Suddenly, she felt very sleepy. Her hand was still on the metal surface, and her eyes started to close. She tried to stay awake, but it was impossible. The last thing she heard was Taeyang calling her name. In her dream, Heijin saw Glastonbury Tor as it was long ago. The hill was different, with no tower on top. Strange lights moved in the sky, and tall figures walked on the hillside. They wore flowing robes that seemed to shift like water. One of them turned to look at her, and Heijin saw that it wasn't human. She woke up in the medical tent. Taeyang sat nearby, looking worried. "You were asleep for 2 hours," he said. "We couldn't wake you up. The doctor says you're fine. But..." He paused. "Did you dream anything?" Heijin nodded slowly. Her head felt clear, clearer than ever before. "I saw them, Taeyang. I saw who built that chamber. They weren't from Earth." She sat up and reached for her notebook. "We need to call Professor Yoon-hee Kang. She's the best xenobiologist in South Korea. And we need better equipment. Whatever's down there, it's still active after thousands of years." "The university won't believe us," Taeyang said. "They'll say we're crazy. Then we'll prove it to them." Heijin started writing quickly. "That metal surface did something to my brain. It showed me the past. Real archaeology doesn't do that. And those energy readings." She looked up at Taeyang. "This is bigger than just finding old artifacts. This could change everything we know about human history." Outside the tent, the rain fell harder. Deep underground, ancient machines hummed softly, awakening after a very long sleep. They had been waiting for someone to find them. Now, finally, that time had come. And in her pocket, He-Jin's phone began receiving strange messages in a language that hadn't been spoken on Earth for 5,000 years. Dr. Ji-woo Park arrived at Glastonbury Tour 3 days after He-Jin's strange experience. The rain hadn't stopped since then, falling in a gentle but constant drizzle. Ji-woo was an expert in unusual brain patterns and sleep studies, and He-Jin's story about the dream had caught her attention immediately. "The artifact is exactly as you left it," Tae-young told them, leading the way to the dig site. "No one else has touched it since you fell asleep." The dark metal surface gleamed under the bright work lights. Ji-woo set up her monitoring equipment while He-Jin watched nervously. They had attached sensors to Ji-woo's head to record her brain activity. "Are you sure you want to do this?" He-Jin asked. "We don't know what it might do to you." Ji-woo nodded firmly. "That's exactly why we need to study it. If this artifact can really show us the past, we need to understand how it works." She reached out and placed her hand on the metal surface. At first, nothing happened. Then Ji-woo's eyes began to close, just as He-Jin's had. The monitors showed her brain waves changing to a deep sleep pattern, but with unusual activity in areas linked to memory and vision. In her dream, Ji-woo found herself standing in ancient Britain. The landscape was different, wilder. The sky above her was filled with strange shapes that looked like ships made of rain clouds. As she watched, one of these ships descended slowly toward the hill. Tall figures emerged from the cloud ship. They were humanoid, but clearly not human. Their skin seemed to flow like water, and their eyes held depths of ancient wisdom. They carried devices that controlled the weather, turning storm clouds into gentle rain and making dry earth fertile again. Ji-woo saw them meet with the local people. Though they couldn't speak each other's languages, they found ways to communicate. The rain shepherds, as the locals called them, had come to help. They showed the ancient Britons how to use simple versions of their weather-controlling tools. But there was something else, something urgent. The rain shepherds seemed worried about something coming, something they needed to prepare for. They began building underground chambers, including the one beneath Glastonbury Tor. When Ji-woo woke up, 2 hours had passed. He-Jin and Tae-young helped her sit up as she blinked in the bright light. "The readings are incredible," said one of the medical technicians, looking at the data. "Your brain was more active during that sleep than it usually is when you're awake." "I saw them," Ji-woo said quietly. "The beings who built this place. They called themselves the Rain Shepherds. They came here to help us, but also because they needed our help." She looked at He-Jin. "They're still here, aren't they? Sleeping somewhere beneath the hill?" He-Jin nodded slowly. "I think so. But why? What were they preparing for?" Before anyone could answer, all their equipment started giving strange readings. The rain outside got heavier, and thunder rolled across the sky. Deep underground, more machines were waking up. Tae-young rushed in from the communications tent. "You need to see this," he said, holding up his tablet. "Weather satellites are showing unusual patterns forming over every ancient sacred site in Britain. And we're getting reports of similar metal artifacts being found at other locations. They left sentinels all over the country," Ji-woo realized. "Maybe all over the world. The question is, what were they watching for?" He-Jin looked at the strange messages on her phone again. The alien language was starting to make sense to her, though she didn't know how. "I think," she said slowly, "we're about to find out." The messages keep showing one word over and over. It translates to awakening. Outside, the storm grew stronger, and more lights began to shine deep beneath the ancient hill. The research team gathered in the main tent as more rain poured outside. He-Jin and Ji-woo shared everything they had learned from their dreams, while Tae-young recorded their words carefully. The young researcher had brought special equipment to study the energy patterns coming from underground. "The rain shepherds made a deal with our ancestors," He-Jin explained, drawing in her notebook. "They would teach humans how to control local weather patterns, but in return, humans had to protect their sleep chambers. But something went wrong. Jiwu added. Over time, people forgot about the agreement. They built the tower on top of the hill and forgot what lay beneath it. Only stories about magic and mysteries remained. Taeyang looked up from his instruments. The energy readings are getting stronger every hour. Whatever's down there, it's definitely waking up. Just then, He-jin's phone buzzed again. The strange messages were becoming clearer to her now, as if the alien language was teaching itself to her brain. They're trying to tell us something, she said. Something about a great storm. The team decided to dig deeper, following careful archaeological methods despite their excitement. As they worked, they found more metal surfaces, each one covered in strange writing. Every time someone touched these surfaces, they would fall asleep and dream of the past. Through these dreams, they learned more about the ancient agreement. The rain shepherds had visited Earth because they saw potential in humans. They believed that one day, humans would be ready to join them as guardians of the planet. Look at this, Taeyang said, pointing to his computer screen. The metal surfaces are actually doors. There's a whole network of chambers under the hill. As they studied the site, more researchers arrived from around the world. Everyone wanted to see the amazing discovery. But He-jin worried about keeping the site safe. She remembered her dreams about how important it was to protect the sleeping chambers. One afternoon, as the team worked, all the metal surfaces began to glow softly. The rain outside suddenly stopped, and the clouds formed strange patterns in the sky. He-jin's phone filled with urgent messages in the alien language. They're saying it's starting, she told the others. The thing they were preparing for all those years ago. It's finally happening. Jiwu checked her monitoring equipment. The brain wave patterns from the chambers are changing. I think they're starting to wake up. Taeyang rushed in with new readings from his instruments. You need to see this. The energy patterns we detected. They're not just here. They're appearing at ancient sites all over Earth. Stonehenge, the pyramids, Easter Island. They're all showing the same signals. The rain shepherds didn't just come to Britain, He-jin realized. They set up protection points all around the world. And now they're all activating at once. The team worked through the night, recording everything they could. More dreams came to those who touched the artifacts, showing them how the rain shepherds had carefully planned for this moment. They knew that one day, Earth would face a great danger, and both humans and rain shepherds would need to work together to protect the planet. Whatever's coming, Jiwu said, looking at their findings, they made sure we would be ready for it. They trusted our ancestors to keep their secret, and they trusted that we would be wise enough to understand when the time came. Deep underground, the sleeping chambers hummed with energy. The rain shepherds had slept for 5,000 years, waiting for the right moment to wake up. Now, as the strange clouds gathered overhead, that moment was finally approaching. He-jin looked at the latest message on her phone. In clear words now, it read, "The storm is coming. It is time to wake the guardians." News of the discovery at Glastonbury tour spread quickly through the scientific community. One morning, a fleet of black cars arrived at the site. Sung Min Choi, the CEO of Global Weather Technologies, stepped out of the lead vehicle. His company specialized in weather control systems, and the ancient technology had caught his attention. He-jin watched from the main research tent as Sung Min's team set up their own equipment. She did not trust their sudden interest in the site. The messages on her phone had become more urgent, warning of danger not just from the coming storm, but from those who might misuse the rain shepherd's technology. They want to take control of the excavation, Jiwu said, entering the tent with worried eyes. Sung Min has government contracts. He's saying this is a matter of national security. Taeyang looked up from his monitoring screens. The energy readings are getting stronger. And look at this. He pointed to weather maps on his computer. Strange storms were forming across the globe, following patterns that didn't match any normal weather system. We can't let them interfere, He-jin said firmly. The rain shepherds trusted humanity to protect their sleep chambers. We have to honor that trust. But Sung Min's influence was powerful. His team began installing their own equipment around the site, ignoring the careful archaeological procedures He Jin's team had established. They were more interested in the technology than in understanding its purpose. That night, as rain poured harder than ever, He Jin received a new message on her phone. The alien writing now formed clear sentences. Warning: the chambers must not be disturbed. The sleepers maintain the shield. Shield? What shield? Jiwoo asked when He Jin showed her the message. Before she could answer, all their instruments began showing unusual readings. The metal surfaces in the excavation started pulsing with soft light, creating patterns that moved like flowing water. Sung Min's team rushed to document everything with their equipment. "This is exactly what we've been looking for," he said, walking into their tent uninvited. "With this technology, we could control the weather anywhere on Earth. Think of the power that would give us." "You don't understand," He Jin tried to explain. "This isn't just about controlling weather. The rain shepherds are protecting us from something much worse." But Sung Min wasn't listening. His team began preparing to remove one of the metal panels for study. As they touched it, the whole chamber system started to vibrate. Warning messages flooded He Jin's phone. Suddenly, the sky turned an unusual color. The clouds above Glastonbury Tor formed a spiral pattern, and lightning flashed with strange colors. Similar phenomena were being reported at ancient sites worldwide. "The shield is weakening," Jiwoo said, checking her monitors. "Whatever the rain shepherds were protecting us from, it's starting to break through." Taeyang's weather instruments were showing impossible readings. These energy patterns, they're not just atmospheric, they're coming from space. He Jin looked at the final message on her phone. "The great storm approaches. The shield must be maintained. Wake us now, or all will be lost." They had to make a choice. Let Sung Min's team continue their destructive research, or find a way to protect the chambers and help the rain shepherds complete their ancient mission. The fate of Earth might depend on their decision. Professor Yoon Hee Kang arrived at Glastonbury Tor during the worst storm anyone had ever seen. The rain fell in sheets of purple and blue, and lightning danced between the clouds in impossible patterns. As the world's leading expert in unusual life forms, she had come to study whatever lay sleeping beneath the hill. "The chambers aren't just containers," she explained to He Jin and the others after examining the site. "They're complex life support systems. The rain shepherds are still alive down there." Sung Min's team had been forced to stop their work when the strange weather became too dangerous. Now they watched from their trucks as He Jin's team continued their careful research. The messages on He Jin's phone had become a constant stream of warnings and instructions. "We need to wake them properly," Yoon Hee said, studying the ancient technology. "If we make a mistake, we could harm them. They've been sleeping for 5,000 years. Jiwoo checked her monitoring equipment. The brain patterns from the chambers were getting stronger, showing signs of increasing activity. "I think they're already starting to wake up," she said. "The question is, why now? What's coming that made them set their alarm for this specific time?" Taeyang rushed into the tent, holding new satellite data. "You need to see this," he said, spreading the papers on the table. "There's something huge approaching Earth. The satellites can barely detect it, but it's there, like a storm in space itself." As they studied the data, the ground began to shake. Deep beneath Glastonbury Tor, the ancient machines hummed louder. The metal panels they had uncovered started to glow with bright blue light. "It's happening," He Jin said, reading the latest message on her phone. "The chambers are opening." They watched in amazement as the metal surface split apart, revealing a deep chamber filled with softly glowing liquid. Inside, they could see tall figures floating in the strange fluid. The rain shepherds were exactly as He Jin and Jiwoo had seen them in their dreams. One by one, the ancient beings began to move. Their liquid-like skin rippled as they opened their eyes for the first time in thousands of years. The first rain shepherd to wake up was taller than any human, with eyes that seemed to hold galaxies within them. Professor Yoon, he stepped forward, ready to help if the beings needed medical attention. But the rain shepherds seemed perfectly healthy. They moved with careful grace as they emerged from their sleeping chambers. The first rain shepherd looked at He Jin and spoke in a voice that sounded like gentle rain falling on leaves. To everyone's surprise, He Jin could understand the words perfectly. The messages on her phone had taught her their language. "You have protected us well," the rain shepherd said. "But now we must protect you. The great storm comes, the one we have waited so long to face." Suddenly, all their equipment started giving urgent warnings. The storm above grew stronger, and the sky turned colors that had never been seen before on Earth. "What is it?" Jiwoo asked, looking at the frightening sky. "What's coming?" The rain shepherd pointed upward. "A storm that could destroy your world," it said. "We have slept here, maintaining a shield to protect your planet. But now the shield is failing. We will need your help to strengthen it." The team looked at each other, realizing that this was just the beginning of an even bigger challenge. The rain shepherds had woken up, but the real test was still to come. The situation at Glastonbury Tor became more urgent with each passing hour. The awakened rain shepherds moved with purpose through the ancient chambers, activating systems that had lain dormant for thousands of years. The sky above had turned into a swirling mass of purple and green clouds, unlike anything seen before on Earth. Commander Minho Park arrived with a squadron of military vehicles. His orders were clear: secure the site and assess the potential threat. The soldiers set up a perimeter around Glastonbury Tor, their weapons ready despite He Jin's protests that the rain shepherds meant no harm. "We cannot take chances with national security," Commander Park informed the research team. He stood straight and firm in his uniform, watching the alien beings with careful eyes. "These creatures may have helped our ancestors, but we know nothing about their true intentions." The lead rain shepherd, who had introduced itself as the Guardian, approached He Jin. "Time grows short," it said in its musical voice. "The shield weakens with each moment. We must begin the strengthening procedure now." Professor Yoonhee studied the readings from her instruments. "The energy patterns from space are increasing," she reported. "Whatever's coming, it's getting closer." Suddenly, Sung Min stepped forward with his own proposal. "My company has technology that could help," he said. "If we combine our weather control systems with theirs, we might be able to strengthen the shield." The Guardian turned its galaxy-filled eyes toward him. "Your technology is incomplete. You understand the small patterns, but not the greater flow. This storm comes not just from the sky, but from between the stars themselves." Commander Park raised his hand for attention. "I need a clear explanation. What exactly is this storm, and what will it do to Earth?" The Guardian waved its liquid-like hand, and the air before them filled with a glowing image of space. They could see Earth, surrounded by layers of invisible shields that the rain shepherds had maintained through their long sleep. "The storm is a wave of energy that travels through the galaxy," the Guardian explained. "It comes every 5,000 years. Without protection, it would strip away your atmosphere and boil your oceans. We helped your ancestors build the first shields, but maintaining them required our constant dreams. Now we must work together to strengthen them before the storm arrives." Commander Park looked uncertain. "And how do we know this isn't a trick? That you're not preparing some kind of attack?" "Because they could have conquered us thousands of years ago if they wanted to," He Jin said firmly. "Instead, they chose to sleep here, protecting us all this time." Jiwoo's monitoring equipment suddenly began sounding alarms. "The shield is failing faster now," she said. "We have to make a decision quickly." The Guardian nodded solemnly. "We must combine our knowledge, your understanding of Earth's weather patterns, and our technology for manipulating greater forces. But it must be by choice. We cannot proceed without your trust and cooperation." Commander Park looked at his soldiers, then at the scientists, and finally at the rain shepherds. The fate of Earth might depend on his decision. Trust these ancient guardians, or treat them as a threat. The storm clouds above grew darker, and lightning of impossible colors filled the sky. Time was running out for humanity to make its choice. Commander Park made his decision, just as the first wave of the cosmic storm touched Earth's outer atmosphere. "Lower your weapons," he ordered his soldiers. "We're going to trust them." He turned to the Guardian. "Tell us what you need us to do." The rain shepherds moved quickly, their liquid-like bodies glowing with internal light. They activated more of the ancient machinery beneath Glastonbury Tor, and similar reports came in from other sites around the world. Each location held its own sleeping rain shepherds, now awakening to help protect Earth. "Look at this," Tae-young called from his monitoring station. He showed them readings from space telescopes. A massive wave of energy was approaching Earth, far larger than anything humans had ever observed. It glowed with strange colors that shouldn't exist in normal space. The Guardian gathered them all in the main chamber. "Now you must know the full truth," it said. "We rain shepherds are not visitors to your world. We are its appointed guardians, chosen by powers far older than ourselves to protect developing worlds like Earth." Hajin translated this for everyone as the Guardian continued. "Long ago, we discovered that intelligent life often emerges just before these great storms arrive. The storms are not random. They are tests. Only civilizations that learn to work together survive them." Professor Yoon-hee's instruments recorded everything, as the Guardian explained. "We could have simply protected you," it said, "but that would have prevented your growth. Instead, we slept, maintaining minimal shields while your civilization developed. Now you have reached the point where you can help strengthen these shields yourselves." Sung Min stepped forward, his earlier greed replaced by understanding. "Our weather control technology. You guided its development through the dreams you sent to scientists over the years, didn't you?" The Guardian's eyes sparkled like distant stars. "Yes, we helped you develop the tools you would need, but let you discover them in your own way in time." Suddenly, all their instruments began showing urgent warnings. The first serious wave of the storm had arrived. The sky turned colors that human eyes had never seen before, and the air itself seemed to shimmer with strange energies. "The shield is holding," Jewu reported from her monitors, "but only barely. We need to strengthen it now." The Guardian raised its hands, and all the rain shepherds began to glow brighter. "We will show you how to join your technology with ours," it said. "But you must all work together. The storm cannot be fought with machines alone. It requires unity and understanding." Hei-jin looked at her phone one last time. The alien messages had formed into a clear set of instructions. She understood now why the rain shepherds had chosen to sleep rather than simply protect humanity. They had been waiting for the moment when humans would be ready to become guardians themselves. Commander Park organized his soldiers to help set up the combined human and rain shepherd technology. Sung Min's team worked alongside them, sharing everything they knew about weather control. The scientists coordinated with similar teams at ancient sites worldwide, all preparing for the moment when they would help strengthen Earth's shields. The Guardian looked at them all with pride. "Now you understand," it said. "The storm is not just a threat. It is an opportunity. A chance for humanity to take its place among the guardian races of the galaxy." Above them, the cosmic storm grew stronger, testing the ancient shields that had protected Earth for so long. But this time, humanity would face it not as a helpless civilization, but as active participants in their own protection.